Welcome. This is Happy Childless Mindset Podcast. Let's talk about sex. I'm here with Lauren. She's she, we met on Facebook and she has this uplifting energy that I love. When we met in the pre-recorded meeting, I was blown away by her energy. Welcome, Lauren. How are you?
Oh, so sweet. And same to you. I adore your energy. I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being my guest. I'm really excited about having you here. It's not it's not the usual topic in my podcast, but I think it's a really important one. Not only in my podcast, but in life in general.
I hear you. And it is something that maybe is just not talked about enough, but really a deep, integral part of becoming, childless, not by choice. Our sexualities can sometimes take the pleasure with sexuality can sometimes
Yeah.
take a back burner in these circumstances. So I hope we can discuss more of that today.
Yeah, when I did the almost three IUI rounds, sex was scheduled, was just to procreate. It was a chore. And it wasn't just for me, it was to my partner at that moment too. And I think that was one of the things that made everything collapse because
Ah,
there was so much tension.
it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I have my hormones like crazy. I wasn't myself. I was sorry for my French, but I was a bitch. And at the same time, like I didn't have the anything to look forward to, because sex can be so much pleasure. At the same time, it can be like, oh my God, I have to have sex today because or I can't today because he has to go and give the sperm tomorrow. It was like, oh my God, another thing that is control and probe and
Yeah.
yeah.
Controlled. Controlled
Yeah.
is the big word there. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners feel that way if they had similar experiences. And it's performance based, it's mechanical, and we have a focus and it's not primarily on pleasure. It's
Yeah.
more reproductive and we have to follow this schedule. That's a lot of
And the
that's a lot of
position,
pressure.
if you
Yeah.
lay on your back and stay there, you the chances are better. And I felt like this scripted puppet.
Yeah. I can imagine.
And
And
afterwards, sorry, and afterwards, when I
yeah,
I separated and I had another partner, and I already knew alone I wasn't going to have a baby without medical assistance. Sexuality was a taboo because I thought I didn't deserve to have my sexuality because it was like I'm not procreating.
wow. That's a big revelation. That's a big thing to notice.
Yeah.
That sounds really heavy. And that's the thing when we take away the reason, that you were having sex before. And then with a new partner, it's okay, I would have sex for pleasure now, not with the sole focus to be on procreating. And that worthy factor, am I
Yes.
worth pleasure now? Who am I besides who I used to identify as someone having sex to reproduce? Where is my sexuality? And who am I as a sexual being now? Wow. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think I grew up Catholic, so
Mm.
sex was just to procreate. It
Yeah,
was really hush hush. You know people were having sex because they having babies, not because you know. So it I had to untangle a lot of beliefs and things that were imposed to me, but I end up making mine. And I had to unlearn that. I unlearn new ones.
that's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. And I'm sorry that that was put on you. And it's put on a lot of people, that
Yeah.
belief. We know people are having sex because of babies, not because we see the smile on their face or when they say, I just had great sex. It's not talked about in a pleasure perspective. It's
Yeah.
talked about in a reproductive perspective.
Yeah.
Wow, Laura, that must have been really interesting to unlearn that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big task.
Yeah, absolutely. I interrupt you before, and I don't know if you want to say whatever you were going to say or if you remember it. Or I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. I think I just was gonna be like, I hear you, or something like, wow, that was all. Yeah, just reacting. These are heavy, these are heavy things. And where you are now, I know that you said since you had a sexual partner, after that, without reproduction as the main focus, are you leaning a little bit more into pleasure as you get further on this journey?
Single now, so not really. I also have, I'm also like perimenopausal. So
Mm.
everything hormonal is, I don't know who I am. Every day is like, what is happening?
It's an interesting shift into the
Yeah.
wise years in the wise woman phase. It's very interesting. These
Yeah.
are very big changes. Hot flashes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially in the middle of the night, like I'm fall asleep and an hour or two later, I woke up that I can't breathe every single night. And it's like, please stop. I don't know what to do.
I think you just got to ride out the wave unless there's any medical things that could assist. But it's
No.
just riding out the wave. It's riding through the phase of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love sleeping. So waking up to a hot flash is like, fuck it. I want to sleep. Why don't you come it at 10 before I get to bed? And in the meanwhile, I hit the bed, because as I said before we started recording, winter is already here. So I would love to have the hot flash as soon as I get into the bed. So, oh, it's nice.
To get cozy. Yeah,
Yeah.
to get cozy. So, with your listeners, would you say that they are of all ranges, all age ranges?
Yeah, I think 35 up.
Yeah. A lot of the times, when it comes to, I believe it's age 38, is what is considered geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I think, as we, do pass that 35 mark, it gets much more difficult to conceive. So something, for your guests and for yourself, if you're interested, is to shift from our views of sex for reproduction purposes,
Yeah.
and also a way to honor that you went through a lot of stress. Your nervous system was tested, your body was tested. And even if, you know, reproductive part of it isn't available to you, pleasure is. And whether that's alone, solo sex. I'm absolutely pro masturbation. Love it. So good for you. It is the highest form of self love that you can give yourself. I wonder if when we feel so unworthy, if you're at, you're coming past after hearing this news, that I'm unable to have a child, right? You feel so unworthy and not just unworthy of many things in life, I'm sure, but most importantly, pleasure and acceptance in your own body.
The acceptance
Figuring
in
out,
your, sorry, the
no, go
acceptance in
ahead,
your
please.
own body is a hard one because I felt, and I read a lot of posts about this, my body was supposed to do a one thing and it's not doing it. So reconnecting with our body is so hard. It's like you failed me, you betrayed me. Why do I, why would I take care of you? Or why would I
Yeah,
feel pleasure when you didn't get me what I wanted?
yeah, absolutely. You're resentful. You're mad at it.
Yes.
Understandably.
Yes.
We're made to do, a thing, a very important thing. And feeling like it failed you is unfortunately very understandable.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's guilt, there's shame, and there's all these really heavy things that just you'll tear yourself down, and you're not worthy. And you have to learn in a new way to accept your body as it is,
Yeah.
just as much love as you had for it before, but in a very different way. It's a new love now, and your body needs the love more than it even did before.
Yeah.
Um, Something I would recommend is to write a love letter to your pussy. I really would.
Yeah.
And not just the pussy, the vaginal canal, but your reproductive system in general. Start
Yeah.
there. And then your body and your soul's purpose and anything, any pressures you put on your body. Thank it for trying with you. And for example, I'm sorry that I used you as a machine to attempt to get what I wanted. And I
Yeah.
know that maybe pleasure wasn't in the forefront. I hope that we can now start our next chapter with a bit more tenderness to you and your possibilities, the way that you can give me pleasure, the way that we can now experience ourselves in new, different ways. The body can do really cool things. And once you give it permission to give you pleasure, once you give yourself permission to receive pleasure, a lot of things can change. And I understand that sounds extremely much easier said than done, but it could start with just a love letter to yourself and to your body.
I love that. I never thought about that. I do a lot of rituals with writing letters, but I
Mhm.
never thought to do one to my body.
Yeah,
So thank you for that tip. Yeah.
you're welcome. I know a lot of I know a lot of clients as well who have been unable to carry children to full term. For example, miscarriages and things like that. They were very, very angry at their bodies, and it's a lifelong acceptance and
Yeah.
forgiveness. And it's just you can just start with one step, and I can absolutely provide a script. Just to, you can fill in the blank, just an example letter.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I think could be helpful. Another thing could be starting with simple pleasures in life. So when you maybe take a nice sip of hot tea or hot coffee,
Yeah.
notice the small pleasure it brings you with the sensations of smell, of taste, of touch, so you can feel how warm it is. Give yourself a little time to focus in on the small pleasures, not necessarily sexual pleasure, but just small pleasure. and
Yeah, but
thank your body for that. Yeah.
reconnecting with that bodily pleasure that is not just sexual. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I do that.
When
I do that
you
with
do,
the
yeah.
food, and yeah, now I have an incense, I think it's called in English, the sticks that
Yeah.
you, because I love the smell and it makes me feel good. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's befriending my body again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Noticing what your body likes and then providing it that is such a beautiful way of self-love. And I know it may
yeah,
sound small and look small, but those small things are you're giving your body a gift and you're giving yourself that gift as well as I want you to enjoy this. I like this and I deserve to smell this incense and just take a minute in my body and give it something it likes, you know. It's a full circle and it starts with small pleasures, little ones.
yeah, it builds up.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you're enjoying this episode. If you are, please support me so I can keep making this podcast. One way of doing it is liking or commenting or both. Okay, back to the episode. I know you said you're a big fan of masturbation. So do you have any tips for that? Because maybe I don't know nothing about the topic. So I'm curious and I'm asking for myself too, not just for my listeners.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you for asking on behalf of yourself and for your listeners.
Yeah.
And especially if we're born into and raised into a religious background where
Mm,
masturbation is known as a bad thing.
yeah.
Um, Masturbation is defined as self-pleasure of the genitals.
Yeah.
So this can be something as easy as a breast massage, a a rubbing of the genitals. It can be with fingers, with toys, dry humping a pillow, anything that gives you sexual pleasure that you give to yourself. Um, a lot of the times too, it's really difficult for people to orgasm alone while they masturbate if it's new to them.
Yeah.
Or if they've been told it's a bad thing most of their lives. I would suggest setting a timer on your phone for like 30 minutes. I would suggest you make a sexy playlist. So for music, if you like music, and just lay down with your body, lay down in bed or maybe in the bath and just tune in to the sensual pleasure. So sensations.
Yeah.
Do I like it if I have a soft touch on my face or a soft touch on my breasts? Let's see if I like a squeeze. Maybe I want to play with my nipples a little bit. Maybe I want to scratch the inside of my thighs. What sensations do you like? And that get a response from you, a good pleasure response. Following your intuition of what my body may like while experimenting and just listening to it, right? You'll be guided in ways to, okay, oh, this feels good. Let's do a little bit more. Or you'll know your body will start
Yeah.
to learn and you can just follow the sensations. Orgasm does not need to be the goal. Just being with yourself to provide pleasure without expectation could be just a really good start.
I love
Yeah.
that because I feel like we talk a lot about male masturbation and they
Mm,
orgasm rather easy. So for me, it added a layer of pressure. Like this is
yes.
not working, you know? I,
Impatient?
I'm doing something wrong. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never thought about that. Like, orgasm is not the goal. It's knowing my body and what I like and I don't like. And yes, I'm single and that applies to me, but it also helps the ones that are partner or married because it's easier to ask your partner to do things or not to do that because you know yourself.
Absolutely. Amen. Yes. That is it. That is the key. And a lot of people miss that. They miss that. They don't realize that there's a benefit to this. So, and I hope that you're a little bit more patient with yourself. And if it's not working, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. I highly recommend finding yourself getting aroused just when you take time to relax. So that's why I mentioned a bath. When it
Yeah,
comes to vagina owners, okay, there is a lot more that goes into our arousal cycle than a penis owner.
yeah,
Um, we have different brains, and there's two types of desire. Okay, when it comes to sexual desire, there is spontaneous, where I'm turned on immediately out of nowhere, and then
yeah,
I just chase the pleasure and the orgasm, right? Or my partner, wherever it may be. And then the other is responsive. So, responsive is you have to respond to something to get the idea of sex to be in your mind or pleasure in your mind, and then continue to provide yourself with things to respond to in a way that it brings you more closer, being more open to the idea of pleasure. And when we have that responsive desire, many vagina owners do, um, finding out that what you respond to help you relax first is the key. When you get a baseline, so imagine I'm coming home from work and I'm really stressed out. I can't go from being stressed out to, oh, let me go way up into this state of arousal.
yeah.
You need a baseline. So you have to decompress a little bit. So if you got nothing going on, once you're calm, after you take a bath, then there's room for you to start building, things to respond to sexually, to start going up that roller coaster. So maybe you respond to candles. Maybe you respond to massage oils, like a nice massage for your body. Maybe you respond to, and then we can go more into it. Handcuffs. You can handcuff yourself, no problem. Just good luck getting out. Uh,
I imagine my cat screaming at me like, I'm hungry and I can't, I
I
can't.
can't help you right now. I am in the middle of something, cat. Yeah. It could be as simple as stroking the vulva lips, the outside lips,
Yeah.
just touching the area without putting any pressure, seeing where your erogenous zones are, seeing what type of texture you want on your skin. Do you want like a fuzzy, soft blanket or silky satin sheets? You know, and it's a
Absolutely.
lot. I know it's a lot if it's new. This is a lot to take in, and I get that. Yeah.
And at the same time, I started to thinking like the things I've tried, the ones that I've not tried,
Yeah.
because a lot of stuff that you're mentioning never crossed my mind. So it's so interesting.
Mm. Are you looking forward to trying even just one of those things to see what you
Yeah,
like?
absolutely. Because I think sex is it's a necessity like eating, sleeping, or going to the bathroom. But we were how do you say it, indoctrinated into not
Yes.
thinking about that.
Mhm.
And it's it's guilty inducing, and I want to reconnect with my body because I know I eat well, I exercise, and a lot of things like that, but still sometimes it's not my own body. I don't have a good relationship with it.
And it's what we're told and indoctrinated with. If we are, handed the belief that our bodies are for sex with another person, that takes away a lot of other possibilities of sex.
Yeah.
Sex can be what you want it to be. It doesn't have to look a certain way or be for a certain purpose. And I understand if you feel that it is, but I also want you to understand that if you want to change that perspective, it is possible. Um, you can think of, where did I get these ideas? Who handed them to me? And also, do these ideas and beliefs serve me anymore? Are they bringing me
Yeah.
more pleasure?
Yeah,
And it's
I
slow. Mm.
yeah, I undid a lot of beliefs that I was carrying. I started to unlearn those because I had so much beliefs that motherhood was my life, and so I needed to do that. And now I'm realizing I neglected the sexual part.
Yeah, very true. I'm sure this is resonating with a lot of your listeners.
Yeah,
And without overwhelming anybody, we can leave them with those tips, all right, and those ideas. And if they need help or need a little guidance to chat about how to unlearn, this is something they can reach out to you for, and me as well, and that we're here for them. This is not an easy journey, and it doesn't have to be one that you walk alone on.
absolutely. The other thing is like we think we have to figure out everything from by
Mhm.
ourselves. And for me, reaching for help and asking questions, even the ones that I am comfortable with, it's so helpful. So
Does it give
yeah,
you hope?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah,
sure you provide people hope by
I
speaking about
hope
these.
so.
You
Yeah.
do. I know you do. I know you do. You give me hope. You're very inspirational and you are putting yourself in the most vulnerable position, the most uncomfortable positions to ask questions that other people deserve to have answered. And it's beautiful, Laura. And I know it's hard. And I,
Thank you.
I absolutely adore that you have this new purpose. So truly, it's
It
wonderful.
is my new purpose. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's one that I found out because I'm childless. Like, what can I do? I want to help. From where? Well, I'm childless and I'm happy. What can I do to communicate that? And I never thought I was going to be talking about sex in my podcast. But I started to know in you and I felt like I want to ask her a lot of questions and I know I can help others too because of this work we have with our bodies. And it's the only one we are going to have, so let's love it.
Absolutely. Let's love it. You got one body,
Yeah,
and it's okay for you to change your body's purpose. It's going to have to be okay. And that's all right.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Thank you so much for being my guest. Maybe if someone has a question, we can do another one with questions from the audience that I'm not really thinking about right now because I'm like, I can do that. But yeah,
There's a lot of possibilities that how this could go. And I
yeah,
think that we just opened this big giant package. I'm looking forward to seeing what questions people have, and
Yeah.
I am here for all of it with you. That would be an honor. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.